Hi, it's T with Teaquilts, and today is Monday, April 27th. It's 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you're watching this at any other time, just know that you're watching an upload of a live chat. Get my machine ready. Ugh. So I'm just waiting for people to come into the chat room. As usual, I did not set it up ahead of time, especially on the extra days. I just don't get a chance to get in here. Hey, Miss Bonita. What are you doing? She says, I finally caught one of your lives during the day. All right. This is my third week on Mondays, girl. So yeah, we're gonna wait for a few more people to come into the chat room. I didn't put this up until 10 minutes to 1, so I'm sure YouTube hasn't notified everybody. Oh, okay, that's awesome. You got half a day off. Hey, Kim Burris, how are you? June Hanson, how are you as well? So, yeah, we're just waiting for some more people. I'm almost finished with this one top. I just got to add a border. And then I thought, you know, since people want to see me sew doing these extra chats, I just cut out some more pineapple blocks, but I use different fabrics. And we'll see how those turn out. We'll start sewing on those. So slowly people are coming in. So when we were live Saturday night, some of you all left because I thought I was finished, but I actually put one border on after some of the people had left. And so I put a 1-inch finish strip, so I cut it 1.5 inches of the background white. And now I'm just going to add a red border. I originally wanted to use the fabric that's in the center of my pineapples, but I didn't have enough. The only fabric I had enough of to put a border on was the darker red. And I wanted to put a 4.5 inch, but I only had enough to cut 3.5 inches. So I am adapting to whatever fabric I have, because this is how I make quilts at home. Or if I don't have enough fabric, then I'll decide to use 2 or 3 or 4 or more fabrics for the border. So just know that you're not limited. You're only limited in what you can create with what you have. So if I did not have enough of any fabric, I probably would have used all 3 of them in the border. I would have just alternated them throughout the border. So let me just make sure. I've been talking to the people that have already been in here. We got Radine F here, says hello TNO. Hi Radine. June says good working on an apron today. I made 30 masks over the weekend, so time to do something I want to do. That's awesome. I want to go get some silk fabric from Joann's, but I don't want to order it online because I want to make sure I pick it out myself. That's what I'm wanting to get. Judy is here. Hi, Judy. I don't remember seeing you in a while. Where you been? She says, hello, TN everyone. Your pineapple quilt is so beautiful. Thank you so much. And June says, like the white border. Thank you. I felt like the white would separate out the background of the pineapples and make it pop just a little bit more. So that's why I put the white on there first. So I'm going to now put these 3.5 inch strips that I cut. They're going to finish 3 inch. So I'm only going to have a 3 inch border instead of a 4.5. And let's just recap on the sizes for the white borders. My blocks are 10 inch finish. So I've got a quilt that's 3 by 4 for 12 blocks of a setting. So that means my quilt is 30.5 inches by 40.5 inches. When I added the white borders on each side, I added 2 inches. 1 inch on this side, 1 inch on that side, 1 inch on top and bottom. So now my quilt is 32.5 inches by 42.5 inches. So I've cut my side strips 42.5 inches. I cut them 2 sides. Do not just put borders on your quilt. Make sure your borders are cut to the size of your quilt top. That way you won't have wavy borders. And I find if you have wavy borders when it comes time to quilt it, you can sometimes get puckers in the borders, or it starts to look cattywampus. And I don't want that, so I'm making sure that I cut my borders to size. And then I pin both sides, and I'm pinning down about 2 inches from the corners to make sure that nothing's going to be stretched in those 2 inches from the end, just in case. Then I also pin in the center, and I've got a fold in my strip, and my seam allowances are telling me where my center is. And then I just work with the 1/2. I go to the 1/2 mark from one corner to the center, and then I go to the center of that and pin. And then I fill in pins in the middle if necessary. And I will put one more in. And then we go and do the same thing on the other side. Walk all the way down. I know some new people have come into the room. I'll get you in just a second. And then again, back in the center and the center again. Hi, Katie Collier. She says, hi, T and everyone. How are you? Kim says, that is beautiful, T. Thank you so much. Leetta Bryan is here. Hi, Leetta. She says, hi, T and T Quilters. Kim says, be sure to give T a thumbs up. Thank you so much, Kim. Appreciate that. And Katie, thank you for the thumbs up. She says, your quilt is lovely. Thank you. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. So once I put the final border on here, we see how these blocks look where you alternate the white with a print or a color. I actually use 6 different fabrics in this particular quilt, or 6 different colorations per se, because I used a different red in the center, 2 different reds to make my triangles on point, my 4-piece squares, and then I also used a background, so that's 4, and then my teal and my green made 5 and 6. So I actually used a design that had fabric going into different placements in 6 areas. The next one we're going to do is just going to be scrappy, but it's going to have a little twist to it. So I didn't cut a whole lot because I just cut today because I realized just sewing a border wasn't going to take up enough time. So I'm going to just trying to make sure I don't have any more comments. I'm going to go ahead and sew these borders on. I got it on my sides. Oops, I forgot to pin this side. Like no pins. If I don't pin when I'm making my blocks, I definitely pin when I add my borders. So that's not the place to skip the pinning. And I got my pins back enough that they're not running into my seam, and if it is, it's the very tip. And I have very fine glass head pins here. I seen some comments in the on my last video I uploaded on Saturday. Had some comments in the actual comment section. Somebody had their creative grids ruler, and since I've now got my blocks put together, they went and started making their block. And they put a comment in there and said, I think it's a whole lot easier to do with the Teaquilts die cutting system. So they're going to go buy their own die, which I just chuckled. It is. It's a whole lot quicker, the cutting and everything. I don't have to do any trimming that you got to do with all the rulers and stuff. So once I cut, I'm done. It's just sewing. So we're going to go ahead and do this other side. And I want to cut it off now. I was telling them on Saturday that I'm sewing a quilt so that customers can pick some designs from. And I'll probably have somewhere around 90 designs on it when I'm done. So I am stitching in the ditch in black because it's a black background with all kinds of colors. It's a rainbow quilt. And I forgot to change the black thread back to the variegated thread that I was using. So I got 2 blocks I got to pull out because I just set the machine and then I left. I came back and I'm like, oh my goodness, I got to take out 2 blocks. So I got to take it off the machine, rip the stitching out of 2 blocks, and then put it back onto the machine. Now I'm going to do something a little different here because I'm actually going to take this to my big iron and press later. All I'm going to do is press just the edges of these borders for right now. Just because I don't want to take up time to press because it takes me a while on this little mat to press this long seam. So what I'm going to do is just fold up. And I got my wooden iron, or I can use my nail. And I'm just going to get the very edge. Because that's the only thing that matters right now when I'm going across these seams. Is this edge. Because I want to put the top and bottom border on. And that's all I'm going to press is the edges. Excuse me, I just took sinus meds. My voice sounds a little different. So, and I haven't eaten anything yet for today. So, when I woke up this morning, it's like, okay, I got to do this, this, and this before I go live. So, and eating wasn't the priority. This is normally the time I get my first meal, 1 or 2 o'clock. So, I'm actually okay, but I had to take the sinus meds, and I don't normally take it on an empty stomach. So, hopefully I won't get sleepy or anything like that. So all I pressed was the edges of this so that I can put my borders across the top and bottom. Okay. Trying to make sure you all can see. So now I'm just going to go ahead and pin those. I'll make sure, welcome some new people in here. Let's see. Hi, Linda Griffin. She says, hi, T and everyone. Beautiful quilt and beautiful day. Thank you so much. And yes, it is. We got sunshine today. Sarah Collier says, hi, T. Watching you across the pond in England. Hi, Sarah. Welcome and thank you so much. Let's see. Linda Jones is here. She says, hi, T. Very pretty quilt. Thank you so much. And hi to you as well, Linda. Linda says, I'm considering getting the pineapple dye. You have inspired me. Use my AccuQuilt link to go to the site. If you do, anybody that buys a dye, please use my link. I think we get like a 5% kickback or something like that. I can't remember. They change it all the time. So sometimes they'll have specials where we'll get more. But I think it's 5%. But something's always better than nothing. So Linda says, love your profile picture, Benita. I just love penguins. Saw them up close in Padonia. And she said, drinks lots of water to help you stay awake. Yeah, I did. I drank it with some fruit juice so that I would have some kind of sugar to go in there. But I also brought a cup of water in here as well. Doris, oh, I was wondering if you were coming, girl. She says, hello, T&T Quilters. Peggy O'Connor is here. Hi, Peggy. She says hi to T&T Quilters. And that's it. So we're going to go ahead and pin the top and bottom borders now. My top border, because I've now added 4 inches total onto my quilt top, I now need 38.5 inches. And I cut my strips 3.5 for those that are just coming in. I just turned this around because I cut this right where the fold was. And I can handle that when I go to the iron. It'll be on the outside edge instead of me worrying about it while I'm trying to pin the border on. My fabric was pressed and then I folded it up when I got through cutting for my blocks. And so I didn't repress it. So I've got folds. And like I said, I'm going to go back to that center. This is not one of those things where you say, do as I say, not as I do. Do what I do. Because I'm doing it right. Because this, again, I do not skip this part of pinning. I always pin those borders on to make sure your quilt is square. And if you're a newbie and you don't know your 1/4 inch seam, that could mean that you have to measure your quilt like towards one end and then go all the way down to the other end. And you could have to measure it in the center and then get the average of those 3 measurements and cut your border to that. Because there's sometimes where you cannot square your quilts up, because if you do, you're going to cut off points or part of the design. So you have to be really careful when you start squaring stuff up. You may be cutting off critical elements in your quilt. So your border comes back and helps to straighten some of that up. Pull these over. And this went pretty fast. This is our 6th session. So it's not quite 3 weeks. We've done this in 2.5 weeks. Because I started on a Saturday. So Saturday would make 3 weeks. So it went pretty fast. I did all my cutting Saturday, like right before I came live. Not too much gets done early. I just cut today right before I came live because I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do if I don't do something else. So I just cut some scraps. So we're going to start a second one. And I think we're going to keep them all at, well, we'll see if I like it or not. I cut a lot. I just cut pieces. I don't know how many pieces I got. I probably don't have enough of all the different pieces I need. but I figured we'll start with the goal of keeping everything at 12 squares. We'll see if I like it. I might make it bigger. And then Bonita says that adding borders seems to be a great way to grow your quilt quickly. Yes, it is, because you can always, some people generally sometimes will only put one border, but you know, you can make a combination of borders, different sizes, and make those borders become a highlight of the quilt as well. So yes, it is a quick way to grow quilts, and you can make them just about any size you want. Now, because I'm doing my top and bottom, and these are going to be my last seams, I'm going to back stitch on these. That just helps so my quilt top won't come loose. They're the last seams encasing all of my other seams. So I got 4 more designs I got to pick out to put on my quilt, and then I'll be finished and then I have to pull it off, take out 2 blocks of stitching, and put it back on to finish those 2. And then I've got to decide if I want to stitch in the background of some of my stitching or not. I don't know. We shall see. I thought I was going to have it done by the end of the month, but that may not be. Since I only got a few more days now. Okay, we're going to now do this other side, remembering to back stitch. Again, I'm going to go ahead and cut this as well, just so it's not twisting and pulling. You know what? I do have crackers here. I forgot I brought crackers in here. Sometimes I'll put stuff like this in a room so when I'm working I can have something. One of the reasons I can leave my pins in is because I'm left-handed, and I put my pins in backwards. I got them on this side instead of over here where they're supposed to be. So that's one of the reasons I can sew, and I just make sure that tip is either out of the seam or it's just going to get the very tip of that pin, and if it's a fine pin, it won't even matter. So that's one of the reasons why I'm sewing and going over pins. Sometimes I get an advantage to being left-handed. All right. And so I'm not gonna press these either. I'll just handle that later. I'll just do the edges. I don't think it's gonna make much difference, but I'll try. So you can see the finished top. And then next will be quilting. I have to figure out what color thread. I guess I'll use, I got this red border. I'll have to see. See, my borders have not been pressed, but I will do that later. It's just cumbersome to do that in here. So there you go, finished quilt top. And we're gonna take this and get a good pressing on it. And then just cut a piece of fabric for the back. It's 38. 42 plus 6 is 38 by 48. Let's see. Thank you, Linda. She's saying, okay, I'll use your link for sure. I always have them down in the description box of my videos. Katie says, I'm looking into getting an AccuQuilt. Not sure which one to go for. I'm fairly new to quilting. What would you recommend? First, do you love it? Because with the die cutting systems, you got so many different price points. But if you know that you're going to really get into quilt making, I would go with something where I can use some of the bigger dies. And I would go with either the regular Go, which would be the least one. The Go Big, because you can get the bigger dies. You can buy all the dies will fit in there. Or if you're really think you're going to be interested, I would go with the Studio die cutter, because they have different types of dies. You can use the gold dies on the Studio with an adapter plate, and then you can also use Studio dies, and you can cut 10 pieces of fabric at a time over 6 pieces with the Go. So it just depends on what you think if you're going to love quilting, if you're going to use it. And then when you get a die cutting system, make sure that you leave it set up, because I found that when I didn't leave mine set up, I didn't use it a lot. So now that it's got a home, I tend to go die cut a lot more of my pieces because of that. So it just depends on that. But if you think you're going to really love quilting, and if you're one of those people that you're going to use it, and you want, I try not to ever get the entry level of anything, so that's my other thing. So I wouldn't even consider a Go Baby at all. They got the Go Me, I wouldn't do. So I wouldn't buy those just because they're so entry level. You can only cut up to a 6-inch wide die. That doesn't mean your piece is 6 inches. That means that's the size of the die. So I would definitely go with the Go Electric, which is the Go Big, or the Studio die cutter. I have actually the Go Big and the Studio die cutter. I have owned the regular Go, and I sold it when I got the Studio. And the Studio is different. It's not electrical, but when you turn that handle, it's like the difference in when they say something that cuts like butter, then that's how the Studio is for turning. It turns like butter. It's totally different than the handle that's on that Go. And people have said that they have improved the handle on the Go, but I can't attest to that because I have never used a regular Go in years. It's been at least about 7-8 years since I've used a regular Go. So it's just one of those things, how much money you're willing to spend. And then they have specials too. So if you get on AccuQuilt's email list, they always have specials where they will have the Studio, or the Studio would be half off or something. So if it's $600, then it will go down to $300. And then they also have the Studio dies, or go on better sale than the Go dies. They'll have the Studio dies on 50% off, but most of the time on the Go, the most you're going to get is 30% off. So it's just, you know, different. Linda says, last quote, I got lazy and didn't measure. I ended up with very wavy borders. Yes, and just don't do it. Just don't do it. It just never seems to work out right with slapping fabric on and just sewing it, because your feed dogs are feeding different the piece that's on the bottom. It's going to assume that it's big, and that's why you need to have the pins in to let it know in between these two spaces I want you to stitch in all of this fabric. But if you just put it on there, it doesn't know the difference. It's just eating up fabric. Kim says, I just got the Creative Grid pineapple ruler and anxious to use it. Couldn't afford the Teaquilts system. And I do understand that. And it is a huge investment to just jump into. And then, you know, you got to then buy the dies. They'll give you one die with it. But then you've got to buy the dies. And so it is a very costly investment and something that you have to almost save for so that you know you get what you need. And if you do buy one and it's your first time getting it, make sure you get the 2.5-inch strip die as well. And then you have to buy the mat that goes with that too. So, because you can use that so many different ways. Hi, Sandra Hobbs. Welcome to the chat. Linda says to Katie, I have the electric one because the crank ones were too hard for my shoulders. And that's when I had it, even when I put 6 layers, it was just hard to turn. And eventually my handle locked up. And, you know, I was going both ways. So it wasn't like I kept turning it one way. And I'm sure they probably have fixed that by now. And they were really nice because I had my machine. It was totally out of warranty. And I contacted them and told them that my handle was jammed, and so they had me ship it back to them. I paid for shipping back to them, and then they sent me back a refurbished one that they paid the shipping for. So I thought they were, as far as customer service, I felt like they really stand behind the product. Even when it was out of warranty, they still assisted me. So I appreciate Teaquilt for that. Hi, Erica Selman. She says, hey, everyone. Ann McNewen, she said, just drop by for a quick hello. Hey, Ann. Bonita says, I agree with purchasing the electric one. After a while, cranking can wear you down. And it just depends on what you're cutting. If you're needing 600 half square triangles, yes, you're going to cut them quicker with the Go system or with any die cutting system. But, yeah, it's a lot of work cranking all that stuff through. You got a lot to do. So I use my Go electric to cut the pineapples out. So while it was going through, I was getting my next pieces ready to go on top. Katie says, thank you. The electric one sounds a lot easier. Save my shoulders. Thank you guys for the comments on the quilt. And then Bonita was asking, are you doing a piece back? Absolutely not. It's less than it's less than the width. So 38. And what I might do is just sew on some basting strips that I use when people quilts are too short. I'll put that on my quilt so that I can have enough room for gripping the leaders for my side clamps when I put it on my long arm. But absolutely not. It's going to be one piece. And I might even have a piece of fabric that's 60 inches wide. That'll make it even better. Thank you, guys. People are saying that they love the quilt. Hey, Tiffany, how are you? She says, hi, T and everyone. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I have my, I'm losing pieces already, just pulling it up. We're going to go ahead. I got my board here where I've got some cutout pieces. Yeah, I've got, they're all getting mixed up here. I don't know why these pieces are not in the same order. I'm trying to see if I cut the same pieces and didn't cut the other set now. It might be in a different stack or we'll be finding out in a minute, won't we? This is what I get trying to cut right before I come on live. I mean, at 12:30 I was cutting. Okay, so this goes over there. It's like I'm missing a set of pieces. I didn't cut the right side, guys. going to go ahead and start sewing, and I'll see what I'm missing, because I can't tell right now. We shall see. And when I can't sew anymore, then we're done. I'm only going to start 4 blocks. And all of my centers are going to be black this time. So I probably will not get through a whole lot of this. See, Mary is here. Hi, Mary. Okay, and I think that's the only other person that has come in. So that's 3. 1 more is 4. I got all this stuff up here that I left here from Saturday. I have not been back in this room because I've been long arm quilting. And I need 2 small ones. 2 small ones like that, and 2 small ones like this. So this is going to be a different setting. Oh, I got 4 of them. This is going to be interesting. Trying to get different ones. 3. Like I said, I didn't cut a whole lot of pieces. I don't even have pieces cut for 12 blocks. I was just trying to get some cut so that I could get in here and start sewing. 1, 2. All right. So this one's going to be a little different. Last time we started with 4 of the light backgrounds because we had those, we did it alternating color and background. This time we're going to put 2 color, 2 background. Are you making more pineapple blocks? Yes, I am. Second quilt, Peggy. I always wanted to make pineapple quilt. There are so many different variations on it. So since my other one was focused in a particular colorway, I decided to make another one using scraps. And then the placement of my lights and darks are going to make a difference too. So yes, I am. A glutton for punishment. Okay, so we're gonna now just cut off the 3 so I can get started on the second piece. I think I'm gonna pull this up because it's hard. This mat is too soft to press with when I'm not using heat. Put this back up. I'm pulling out my stuff for when I'm making masks. I just keep it in here because I know somebody else is going to need a mask. I'm hoping I can get through a week without sewing a mask. So these are going to be all colors eventually. And now I'll take this one off so I don't forget. Mary says that she couldn't not get to sleep until 7:30 this morning. I kept thinking about those masks I need to make for orders. It'll do that. Yes, hunty. Um, Mary says it's been less than a week, and we will have, in less than a week, we will have our stay-at-home order lifted. I'm scared and dreading it. We got different orders for us, so right now where I'm at, we got till the 15th of May. My state has a whole different date. I think it's the 3rd, but I'm not going out on the 3rd, so I'm not going to be hanging out like everything's okay on the 3rd. I'll go out if I need to go to the grocery store or something like that, but I'll be suited up. All right. I saw the piece on wrong already, guys. Right side's looking at me. And my seam ripper is in the long arm room because it's my favorite one. Just crazy. I'm going to take this apart. We'll just do another one. I don't have my seam ripper in here, and it's going to give me the blues. So I'll just sew another one. Just start over from the top. I'll save that one later. And you know, this is the time where I can't use the back side of the fabric because I really need the intense color. Sometimes if it's on the wrong side, I'll just keep going. So this is what I have. Piece with the black, and then the colors are going to be on the top like that, and then the other two pieces are going to be adjacent here for my lights. Dee Dee Hansen is here, says, just got online to join, still making masks here in Michigan. Once people find out you do those, boy howdy. I have never advertised. I just have shown masks on my Facebook page, and then I've had people, a few people that contact me, or they'll say in the message, in the post, do you make masks? And I never respond there. I go and message them. Because I don't want everybody to know that I'll make them. So. Nobody. It's not something I want to spend the majority of my time doing right now. I've done about 62 of them. I'm hoping I don't have to make a mask at all this week. Oops, I got one here. And I still got to add the other piece on here, though. So we're going to see how this one turned out. We're just making up stuff. I'm like, they can look so different with fabric placement, so let's try it out. Trying to get this piece that I restarted caught up. So I got to pay attention. I can't apparently talk and sew because I'll sew the wrong side or forget that I need to sew a piece to something. I've discovered that on the previous pineapples. Alright, so we should be caught up now. Yeah, we're caught up now. Put this last piece of light. Hi, Ann Mason. She says, hi from Ohio. Love working with you. I'm glad you said that about making masks. I feel the same way and was feeling guilty. I don't feel guilty because I've made my portion. I know some people are making hundreds and thousands of masks, and I really applaud those people because I don't know how they do it. I would not be doing that. I had a friend, she bought 100 yards of elastic. She has reordered 200 yards. That's really nice. I can't do it. And I think she said that she sold to some people that couldn't get elastic originally at cost. So she went back and ordered some more. But she's made quite a few masks herself. So yeah. I make them for family and essential workers that I know of. I did not make any to donate, like to the hospitals or anything like that, because I knew people that worked for those facilities, and I made them for them. Even made them for the dog groomer and the postal clerks and my mail person, my mail carrier. So yeah. I have a lot of family that are essential employees. And Bonita saying, yes, that's the interesting thing about the pineapple block. The placement of the fabric tells a different story each time. Yes. And that's what I was saying. It's like, I don't have to make these quilts big. It's like I get enjoyment out of changing the pattern. So we're going to stick with 12 on that one. I'm hoping we'll get 12 out of this one. Unless I decide I really want something on my bed. But I'm hoping that I can stay with 12 blocks. And the nice thing is, like, I'm going to have extra pieces that I cut that I'm not going to be using in certain positions in this one. But, you know, they can go into a future pineapple block. It's like when you buy a die, you're almost committing to making at least more than one of the designs. However, with this pineapple and all the cutting and trimming you have to do with rulers, I'd say that since I already have the die cutting system, that it was worth the die, especially if you get the die on sale. It was worth having the die. So now I just got something that looks like that. Not interesting at all. And now, let's see. I got to figure out how I want to put this together. I got to put piece here. I know I want color piece here. So I don't know which stack that is. I guess these stacks are the same size. I didn't know that. Okay. All right. No, this is got a different shaping. Let me see. Yeah, it's got a different shaping on that. So there is a difference. See, I'm all off of Teaquilts instruction list now. So I got to figure it out on my own. I was off their instruction list on the last one though. Okay, because I know I'm going to need color on this side. So we'll just skip and go to this side. We'll go to what I know. got so much of that, we'll put one of these. And I also recycled my extra pieces from the teal and green quilt into this too. So we'll be seeing some common fabrics in here. Now, do all of these have a color piece? Not this one. Yes, it does. Yep. Some kind of way I got a paper cut right on the tip of this finger, and everything I touch wants to go up under it. Just being mean. Okay, that. Okay, so if I put color here, I'm going to put color on the next one. And this is where, do I have to, they're still fitting here. So why are these different? I'm trying to figure out why are these cut different. They're the same shape and size. Oh, I know, because if I go to the other side, then they'll, if I go do the other side, then they'll come up. Okay. I got to figure it out. So let me do the opposite side. I think, so color, yeah. We're going to put the white one here. We'll see. That's not the right one, though. This one is. They got different little ends cut off of them, and I didn't notice that when I was sewing them before. But I notice it now. Because I'm mixing up pieces. I'm gonna figure it out real fast. I don't know where it goes. I only need 2 more. Correct? No, I need 1 more. So I'm gonna put a white one over here. And then, see, I forgot about I was doing opposite sides. I can't, I still got to do opposite sides, not go around like a log cabin. That's what I was about to do because I'm not following the regular setting. But that doesn't mean I'm changing the order of how it's pieced. I got to stay with that. So I have a white one, and this one needs a white one. I'm trying to make it where all of the sides, well, 5 of the sides have color and 3 of the sides are white. That's what I'm trying to do. We shall see if I accomplish it. Okay. So if I just put the white on, that means the other 2 sides are color. And I think that's where the other ones with the different shaping comes in. Although they look the exact same, but they're not. They're the exact same size, but they got different ends. Yep, I totally see it. You got to go opposite sides. So I got all my pieces real good and mixed up over here. least now I got a system. Well, sort of, kind of. At least I know where the pieces go. I did not pay attention when I was sewing it before. It's amazing. That's what die cutting does. It's so accurate. When I put that piece on there, I'm like, that don't match up, but it was the exact same size. That's the thing too about the pineapples, is you're pressing all of your seams out so it gets a little thick in the corners. And I'm trying to make sure I mix up colors as well. This, sometimes I can and sometimes can't. Here's one. I should have probably made one block as a test. But I'm real good with multiplying my mistakes. Like, you know, I don't have one block to unsew. I got two in there. You know, seems like when I do something, I like to just go for it. Just make a bigger mess. So. Has that one got two? Nope. The other color on here. So I almost got 8 pieces around, and I'll be showing you guys in just a second. I'm putting 3 colors on and 1 white right now. And I'll also read some comments as well. Take a sew break. My husband is home. He got laid off last week. His job finally ran out of work for them to do. I told you all he was essential because he's in manufacturing, so they were making all the different parts that people were ordering to make stuff. Because that's all that's being ordered right now is stuff that people are using to make essential items, the PPE equipment. So they finally have all the parts they need to make, so they got laid off. And so he's been home. So he didn't know I go live on Mondays. So. Alright, I'll show you these as soon as I press this last one. And they look a little strange. Okay. So this is what I got. I'll put this, it's going to be like, I'm going to have white on this side, this, and that. And then the other edges are going to be print. So I'll have a print on this side, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then 2, 3 whites. No, 5. I need 5. 5 prints, 3 whites. So it looks a little strange. But I'm hoping when it come together in a block, it'll be pretty. So that means I got to get the ones that have a different cut on the end. And I have no idea because I've mixed them all up because I didn't catch that at first. So I got my piles like running into each other at this point. So I'll redo that on my own before I come back Saturday. So I just put them there. See, I think I didn't cut one pile. I think maybe I cut a pile twice and thought I cut the opposite stuff, because I don't see those edges. This is what goes on here. No, it doesn't. That's too big. So this is too big. I got them all mixed up because I didn't realize they had different end pieces on them. Is this the right size? Nope. I don't think I have them cut. Our sew along completely just abruptly comes to an end. Okay. See, I'm cutting something completely different off their sheet, and it's not. I'm missing. There should be some pieces in here, and I don't know what happened to those pieces. Now, I got the other pieces, so it's weird how I've got some of the pieces, but I'm missing the other one. I don't know what I was cutting. So let me pull this down. Let me check the comments. They should be interesting. Judy says the manufactured mask that I bought at $5 for $50 are now $50. Wow. Wow, everybody is price gouging. Tiffany says, I don't feel guilty for not making masks. I am sick myself, so I'm glad nobody asked me to make them. That's awesome. And they at least they respect you, the people that know you. Because my people, they was like, can you make me some masks? They know I got this sewing machine. And Mary even says, wow, Judy, someone's making money on the pandemic. Yeah, a lot of people are. Linda says, I've made masks for our local hospital staff. I feel good about doing that, but I'm tired of making them too. Right now, I'm making some for friends and family. It does get to you. June says, I had family that needed them, so now I hope I'm done. Kim has made some for her office manager here at my apartment complex and was told to keep them. They weren't accepting them? Wow. Ain't that something? Wow, Kim. She says, I thought so. They was asking if they were not wearing masks. She says, I thought so, but she keeps the door closed and locked. And even if you put rent through the mail slot, she sprays it with Lysol. But I will still take some masks from somebody, because she can always, if she didn't feel like they were sanitized, you can always rewash them. Even if people say they washed them, you can still wash them yourself. But to just say no thanks, wow. Bye, Linda. She's telling everybody to have a good day. She got to go. Kim says they aren't wearing masks, and maintenance guys aren't going into apartments. They call in outside contractors. Wow, now that can get expensive for apartment complex. So, interesting. So, Vicki Lemire is here. Hi, Vicki. Welcome to the chat. She says, snow melting. It's raining where she is. June says, I may make more, but not this week. I have an apron to make, but now you can't find anything to go with it. I probably use it for masks. Dang. Oh my gosh. She says she probably used her fabric to go with it for the mask. T, you learn as you go. Right. It's like, And I'm sure it's like now I just see some of these pieces. I see one. If I got one, you would think that I have some more. Let me see if this is the right one. Yep, that's the right one. Because I'm like, it was impossible for me to just cut one piece. But apparently I did. Because there's no more. Let me go back to looking. I found one. And I can tell now by the ends. I've gotten really smart. At least I know what I'm missing when I go back to redo the die cutting. I won't get that confused. I know now. And all of my pieces are in the right. Well, these pieces over here are in the right stack. I haven't looked at those. Yeah, all of these pieces. Trying to see which stack these go in. Those go up there. Those are in the wrong size. Yeah, it's weird how. See, I think all of these go over here. So I missed cutting a whole lot. Wasn't paying attention. Okay. So I'm missing all of the whites except for the little bitty pieces. One, two, three, four. Here's one. That's two. I could have recalled putting fabric in both positions on that board. And that's really weird. Very weird. And it makes me want to go back through these stacks again, but I know I've just done it. Oh well. So I can't sew anymore. One and two. I can sew just one block. Because I'm missing all the pieces. We'll just chat. Okay. Radine says, can previous orders made from AccuQuilt be credited to you so you can get 5% retroactive? No, they can't. You have to use the link that I have and go straight to their website, and then once it just takes you into AccuQuilt, and then you start browsing. They know that I sent you there, but they can't be retroactive. And I can't even use it for myself. They don't even record my orders. Robin Boyd is here. Hi, Robin. She says hello to everybody. Bonita says, go forth and make mistakes. We all learn from them. I just don't even get how I got a whole stack of white because they all in the same spot. I don't understand how I got the stack of these but don't have the rest of them. I had a total of just 2 of these cut. I don't understand. I really don't, because they're all in the same spot on the die board. So that's why I keep wanting to go back through the stacks. I'm like, where are they? But they'll show up at some point, but I'm not going to worry about it because I'll just keep pineapple pieces cut for whenever anyway. So I'll just cut some white. So when I come back Saturday, I'll have the appropriate whites that I need. Judy says, I just made a kitchen curtain using a panel with bird blocks. I bet that was pretty. And she did say it came out very cute. I bet it was. Perfect for a kitchen. Mary says, he can draw unemployment, can he, T? He can. I'm hoping that he's off long enough to draw unemployment. But if you know, you got to be off 2 weeks to get unemployment. Judy says she made a panel quilt and they donated it. It was with cats and she donated it to the rescue and they raffled it for $335. I'm going to make a, June says I'm going to make a tabletop out of my churn dash blocks. I'm trying to just, some of you all are talking to other people. No, because when I cut my, Mary is asking me on my pieces near the die cutting machine. When I cut, I put everything on this board. I mean, it could have fallen off my board, but my board was flat when I put it there. But I guess I could have brushed it with my watch and didn't pay attention. But it's just weird how I'm missing certain pieces. And those stacks were never, like, empty. So I don't know. I'll figure it out, though. They're saying check the floor, T. Let me check back here, because when I pulled my board up, I thought some stuff had moved. But nope. This is my red fabric for the borders that's back here, and that's it. And I don't think the fan blew anything, because we had this problem with the fan. I didn't put it on high today, because the fan blew my pieces from my triangles by the time I got to it. So yeah, I don't think the fan blew anything today, but I'll go check it all out. But that's good too. Sometimes I get so hooked onto finishing something or doing something that I'm just locked in, and that's how I kind of get things done too. But it's nice to have something just say stop, take a break. You know, you can take a break. So I'm okay with it. And so maybe the other pieces are still on your cutting table, but they should have been on this board. I took that in there to put all my pieces on. But Doris O says, I made masks for my family members. They are not fun when it becomes a job. A friend wants me to make some for the homeless. That's going to be overwhelming because that requires so many. And you know, you can also say I'll donate some and she needs to find some other sewers. You know, you don't have to take that responsibility by yourself either. I think sometimes because quilters, we're always sewing for others, especially for charity stuff. And I think we get overwhelmed when we feel like we can't say no, or you don't have to do it all by yourself. She's going to have to find some other people if you feel like you can't do it. I don't want you to get stressed out on that. And Mary is asking, do you think the homeless would wear them? I wouldn't have any idea what the homeless would wear, but it's still good to offer them because they are some of the highest community hit because they don't have a way of social distancing because they only got certain places that they can sleep out on the streets. Lenora Hughes, I don't know what the P means, but welcome to the chat if you're still here. June says, oh, happy days. I found my fabric. Thank goodness, June. And T, how many layers can be cut at one cutting with an AccuQuilt? With the Go system, you can cut up to 6 layers. With the Studio system, you can cut 10 layers. There are different dies. But if you're cutting the Go on the Studio system with the adapter plate, it's still 6 layers because you're going with what the die will cut, not what the system will cut. So yeah. So that's all that's in the comment section, guys. It's going to be an early one. You all tell me. If you got any questions, some of you newbies in here, if you're still here, if you got any quilt related questions, you can pop them into the comment section as well in the chat box, and we will answer those as well. You get more than one opinion when we're in the chat, which is a great thing. Thanks, Winona. Winora. She's just saying hi back. Do you all have anything else you want to talk about? I've already told you all about my quilting project. That's what my brain is. It's on finishing my quilt. I want my quilt finished now that I'm almost done. So I have, and I got a customer. She gave me 2 quilts. I got a quilt. I need to get those on there. And that's another reason why I've been pressing myself to get my quilt done, because I got hers on there. But I've been quilting my quilt for, this will be day number 4. I started Friday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday is day 4. Dee Dee says, what is the name of the die for the one that has fringe around the blocks? That's for your rag quilts. And they even have them in different shapes, I think, some of the rag dies. Tiffany says, I'm tired, so I don't have much to say. I know that's odd for me, right? Yes, Tiffany, but we understand. You need to just chill and get your rest. And sometimes I think our brains are so overactive, and then that's what keeps me up sometimes. It's like nothing stressful is keeping me up. I'm thinking about the colors I'm going to put in my next quilt. So I'm glad you're able to sit back and chill right now, because I have an overactive brain at times. And Janet says, thanks, Judy, for letting me know that T was on. I guess I missed most of the live. Be well, all. Yes, we've been on for an hour, and I have miscut my pieces, so I don't have enough pieces to continue sewing. I was sewing some scrappy pineapple blocks like this, and I have ran out of pieces because I don't have the appropriate pieces cut. I found out that these pieces have different edges to let you know which side they go on, so I've completely goofed that up. So I'm just chilling. Katie says, what's the best batting? There are so many to choose from. I'm only starting off with a cot size quilt or smaller. Before you, I would also say who you're making it for may make a difference on batting. If you're making a baby quilt, a lot of people recommend using polyester batting just because it's lighter than the 100% cotton battings. But you can also get a mix of battings where you have 80-20 cotton, 40-60 cotton polyester mix. There's so many different blends out there. And every quilter will tell you a different thing for batting. If I'm using 100% polyester, which I rarely use, I just go ahead and use Hobbs. There is also green batting that they've got out now where they've recycled stuff. They use it, and I think it's polyester. When I'm using cotton, I mostly use Warm and Natural just because it's one of the cheaper cottons to get. 100% Warm and Natural. You can get it in natural, or you can get it in white. You can also get some battings in black. I even have probably a video talking about some of the battings because we've done this before. So you can also Google Teaquilts quilt batting, and should bring up a video for you on the YouTube if you search in YouTube. But yeah, there are so many different kinds. And then some people like wool batting. Wool batting, when it's quilted up, if you leave recessed areas, it has the consistency of polyester where you can get details like ups and downs, hills and valleys. So if you stitch it really tight, it's flat, and if you leave some where, like if you got a flower and you want it to pucker, then it'll pucker in the flower. Thinking wool. There's other textures of batting I'm just blocking right now because I don't use a whole lot of them. When I've done wool, I've only used Hobbs wool, so I need to buy wool from another company just to test out another one. Also, you might need to use a black batting. If you are making a black quilt and your backing also is going to be black, you may want to use a black batting. I should have used the black batting on the quilt that I'm working on because it has a black border. And I can see the batting like beards through. It looks like cat hair or dog hair. And so I'm constantly cleaning the batting off the quilt. So you may want to consider that if it's a black quilt. So batting isn't just a one-time, one-all thing. It just depends on what you're making it for. And Tiffany agrees that her mind is overactive on the norm. My sickness has spread to my thoughts, I suppose. Yeah, I'm laying in bed dreaming about quilts sometime. Nora says, yes, I finally figured it out. Now I can participate in the chats. Can you tell me where I can get a rack like the one on your desk? Thanks. This is an origami rack that I actually bought off of HSN. I bought a couple of these. I put this in my scrapbooking area and here. I think I got 2 in my scrapbooking area. And it's just a whole, like, sometimes I'll go through and I'll clean these things out. And other times I just have stuff holding off. Like what's down in here is stuff to make masks. This was my last. I got like papers in one because I just tend to have them. And then it's like stuff that I'm using temporarily is normally in these. And then I go through and clean them out as I'm changing projects or moving things around. But it's a rack from Origami and it doesn't have a name on it. Like the style. I don't know what it's called, but it's mostly just your desktop storage solution. So I don't know what it's called. I can't even find the origami on here. It might be on the back. And you've got these 2 drawers are thinner and this one down here is a little bit thicker. I try to buy stuff when they have it on sale, like when they have it on a special. It makes it a little cheaper. And sometimes you can get shipping for free. Janet says, quilting today on a dinosaur print quilt for my grandson. Now that's got to be fun. And Judy goes, Janet makes quilts for everyone. I used to make, well, not used to. I have made, I'd say about 90% because people have since had babies and stuff. But I probably have made 90% of the people in my family a quilt. And some of them have gotten 2 quilts. And I just don't think overall that they appreciate the value or understanding what the gift is that I've given them. So I haven't given out any quilts to my family in a while. Just because I think they think that these quilts only cost $50 or something. Because I went to somebody's house and saw the dog was on it. And then I went to another person's house and saw that they had somebody else's quilt that they had made for a dog bed. And I'm like, first of all, how you get somebody else's quilt that they didn't care when I gave them their quilt, that they didn't even care about their quilt and just let it just disappear without asking, has anybody seen my quilt? How you lose a quilt? So I'm like, no more quilts for you all. You have to pay for them too. Now my mom, she keeps, every time I make something, I have to be careful what I show her because she always wants something. Oh, that's so pretty. I wish I could put that on my bed. Her and my daughter, them are the 2 quilt hoggers. My daughter has a quilt for, like she's got like a rag quilt. I made her a traditional piece quilt, rag quilt. And then I was making another quilt that wasn't for her, was really making it for a lecture, and it's beautiful. And she took that quilt, and then she wanted a Christmas quilt. And then she also has a computer quilt. So she has, off the top of my head, probably 5. And I'm thinking she got more than that. And my mom, I can't even count, okay? I can't count the quilts my mom have. Because she took it. She was taking at one point. I'm trying to make them for everybody in the family. But every other quilt was going to her. I said, no, we can't do that. We can't show them to her anymore. So that was pretty funny. But I used to love to make quilts for my family. But I don't think they were appreciating it. Judy says, T, we really appreciate these lives while we're shut in. Sorry I slept through the one on Saturday, laughing out loud. It's no problem. Ann says, I'm wanting to buy a long arm. Do you have any comparison video? I really just want another machine to play with. And yes, I do have a video for long arm because there was nothing out to assist me when I first bought my long arm. So I do have a video on things to consider when purchasing a long arm. That's the name of it. And I always put the name of the channel first, and then I put things to consider when purchasing a long arm. When I first made this video, there was nothing out here about long arm. I've since seen other people making videos. I've also seen where people are doing ads in magazines or writing articles in magazines, not ads, articles. So when I did that, it may not cover everything, but it was everything that was in my head at the time when you didn't have anything to go for and I didn't know anything at all about long arm. So I think it's a very good video, but you may be missing 1 or 2 things that you might need to know. But I think it's still a great video to start with. My main recommendation for purchasing a long arm is to go somewhere and sew on it, use it, if you can, go to a national quilt show whenever they open back up and try out every machine. I tried out every even mom and pop machine because I wanted to make sure that somebody hadn't came up with something that was better than what you would assume it is because it was made by mom and pop. And I also didn't want a machine that had heavy vibration, because I knew I was going to be quilting for hours and I didn't want to be with something that was going to have me vibrating like this. If you can see your hands moving on the machine, even if it's at a show, I don't care if they're on a concrete floor, most places will fix it so that that doesn't happen. If you didn't take the time to fix it so that this machine is not vibrating on me, then I don't want to buy it. So just be careful that way because you are investing a lot of money. Claudette Bettis is here, says hello TN everyone. Hi Claudette, welcome. Winfred Baptiste is here, says hi Mrs. Teaquilts and family from Trinidad. Welcome girl, hope you're having a good day. Oh, you're welcome Renora. I try to answer any and all questions if I know, and if I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know. Hi, Diane Ricks. She says hello to everybody. Winfred wants to know what I'm working on today. I do know your name. I know what your name is. I'm paused because when I was working on scrappy pineapple blocks, I have cut some pieces wrong, and so I can't sew the next pieces on. I put them on the wrong place on the die, or I lost them in my house when I was coming from where I was cutting at my ironing board, because I could iron the pieces and then stack them up and cut. But I am missing the white pieces that go on next, so I can't do it. So we'll be back Saturday and grow those little pieces. I won't do any more sewing on it. Let's see. And Mary goes, we're having fellowship today, laughing out loud. You got that right. I said, I finally get to chat. Melinda C says, hello, T and everybody. I have thumbs up already from Florida. Thank you so much, Melinda. Welcome to the chat as well. We got Crystal Cochran here, says hello to everybody. Hi, Crystal. Welcome to chat. Appreciate you coming. If you got any quilt-related questions, you all can just pop them right into the chat box. We're answering any and all questions today. Maybe. Let's see. Robin says, does anyone know where to buy a tiara table extension? Now, I don't. I would assume you'd have to go back to that company and get something like that because it's more of an add-on piece. If your quilt shop sells them, maybe they can get you a piece ordered or something and have it sent in. But it's going to be weird to see if you can just have a piece sitting there. And Vicky is also saying that Grace.com got long arms on sale. Mary says, hi. She says, I just make quilts for kids. I made a couple baby quilts last summer for special babies, but people do not appreciate the time and money and math and rips and cussing that goes into them. So, yeah. I would almost make them for the babies before I make them for the adults because I think they appreciate it more when it's a baby than when you make it for them. So, and Tiffany says, I did the same with the long arm tee. I was one of the first 4 people that bought my machine. No video, so I made one. Diane says, I feel the same way about not appreciating the value of quilts as gifts. My goddaughter has 3 quilts now. She took 2 of them to college with her, and that made me feel really good. Now, that's awesome. It's like I got that 1 or 2 in my family that really love it and appreciate it. And then the other ones, it's like the dogs are on them. And then I got those ones that think, I appreciate them, and can you make me another one for free? They don't even want to pay for supplies. It's like, no,